Yes, you're famous. Look, you're live, Aragorn. You happy now? You've been on screen. Can you go away now? I don't know how well this is gonna work. I'm in the playroom tonight. Aragorn keeps wanting to explore, and the stuff's been here all afternoon. I understand. I am completely whited out. I get that. I only have the ring light because the other light is right here. And if I leave that on, you're going to have a big ball of light behind you or behind me. And, but this is the room that I usually pin them in. In you go. Go play with your siblings. So this is the room that I usually put them in so I can do my live sales. But now tonight, I got all this. Hello, Linda. How are you? So tonight is, I looked at the calendar and I realized from having things get shifted so that my alternating weeks of live sales ended up on my birthday, that now at the end of the month, Thanksgiving night will end up being a live sale. I was like, oh, hadn't really planned on that, but okay. Could be hit or miss, but I know my son is working third shift that night. And after 11, all the festivities are done. We'll see what happens. And next week will be a live sale. So, but yeah, I am well aware of the fact that I'm going to glow like a piece of uranium glass because I'm so pale and the ring light is quite bright. I'm hanging in there. We had some fun. My car is dead. Well, not completely, but it smokes in dangerous ways. Hi, Val. And quite frankly, the car is not worth fixing. So, and if I had to choose between a car and a roof, I'm choosing roof. So I started a basic membership, but I don't know how to get you guys to it. I haven't figured that out yet. I assumed it would show up like on the bottom of the chat. There's a thing there that's like a little dollar bill, and that's for super chats and things like that. And I have the buy me a coffee thing on my channel as well. And the link for that's in the description. But I assumed it would put a button there for memberships, but I'm not seeing one. Not when I'm logged into my own account, and I didn't have a chance tonight to look for it. So there is a basic membership now. Anything from super chats, stickers, the buy me a coffee, all of that has been going, like all the buy me a coffees have been going to help feed the kittens. But now what isn't going to help feed the kittens is going into a separate fund specifically for the roof. I have so far only found 2 grants. One of them is only for people who are developing a property. And since I'm not chopping this place into apartments as an investment, I'm not eligible for that one. And I'm not eligible for the other one because I'm not 65 or older. So I'm still looking. I'm going to see about community action, though, from speaking to someone on the phone there, that usually you have to put up at least 30% of the cost. Well, that's a couple of thousand because this is a big house with lots of peaks because of the way they added onto the house. Peaks and window dormers and a kitchen porch roof that the tree hit and it broke. It literally, there's a video called It Broke My House. And after back and forth with the neighbor's insurance, they've refused to pay for anything. He said he'd make good on it, but that didn't happen. Overall, he is a nice neighbor, but he did get an estimate done. And I think when he found the price of what would have to happen, he choked because it actually broke some of the support beams on the overhang of the roof when that tree limb came down. So all that's got to get done. And all that jacks up the price. So anything for the membership and the stickers and all that all goes towards the cats and then the roof. And for the most part, the cats, Most of it's going to the roof. Most of it's going to the roof. I did get a message from someone who's interested in a kitten. I have to follow up. It's a little disconcerting when they say, hey, I'm interested, but every rescue I've tried, I've done paperwork and they've denied me. Well, I know some rescues are extremely picky. Some won't even, I don't understand. There's one I know of up in Philadelphia that if you don't own your own home or you have small children, they won't rent to you. They don't want to rent to anybody an apartment in case they have to move to another apartment and then they can't take the cat. Most people look for an apartment where they can take their cat and keep their cat. So I have to talk to this gentleman and maybe Arwen will have a home. We'll see. But I'm still working on kittens. And for those of you who don't know the backstory of when I started, before I got hurt and started the Black Hole Challenge, which was to make an office upstairs, we had to empty that room. And that room was so packed I couldn't even walk in the door. And there are videos about that. I think there's a playlist I started for the Black Hole Challenge. And I hadn't quite really gotten back to that room, but Paul, Philly Phlipper, who's near me, bless his heart, because he, who was it, Perfecting Pearls? Julia, who got us together, and he said, you know what, sure, you can, I have a warehouse, you can park your stuff here. And then I got hurt. And it was never supposed to be for over a year. It was supposed to be, 6 months tops. Then I hurt my spine, and it was, it's been, let's see, we're into November now. So it's been a year and a half now. So it's been a year and a half since I got hurt. So it's been easily the year and a half, little more, that he's had all this stuff. And we measured the pile when we went over to pick stuff up. Get away from my teacup. So the pile, this room is 9 feet this way and 8 feet, I think it's 8 feet, 10 inches this way. So it's a square. I was concerned because there is other stuff in this room that you can't see that the ring light's in front of. Well, just for curiosity's sake, we took a tape measure with us. Pile, 6 feet wide. All these boxes. Okay, how far back does it go? Oh, it goes to the wall. Okay. Take the tape measure. 7 feet. So the pile of boxes that came out of the Black Hole Challenge room is 6 feet wide, 7 feet deep. Now, I'm 5'4" in my shoes. And this is as tall as we can get because otherwise I can't maneuver it. The pile at Paul's, it is, I'm on my toes. It's up here. So the plan is to keep working on this room to clear it all out. But as we get carloads of stuff from Paul's, we'll go through it, see what's here. Paul did give me a tip of a local auction house that will take stuff. Dude, my camera cord is not a toy. That will take small stuff like flea markets type stuff. So instead of saving up over the winter and having it take up space to go to Jake's up in Bartow, PA, we're seriously thinking of just, you know what? Don't even worry about bag it and tag it. Just box it, and then when I have like a carload, just yes. Now you want down? Go away. Go play with your brothers.
Don't stay up too late.
I know. I have to get to the bank in the morning before you do all your running. No, I will not be up till 4 or 5. I promise. It can't be that long. That was Mike. There's a Boy Scout trip, and it's backpacking trip. So we have some errands to run. Have to get some rolls of coins to the bank for me to drop off into my account. And and then he's got some other little running to do before he leaves because he's leaving on the trip. So I will have no car this weekend because of my car dying. But anyway, the plan is that you guys have asked for work with me videos, which I'm trying to figure out a way. Like Jan from Antiques from Karen has multiple cameras, and I don't. I have the phone, have the laptop. We're gonna do the best we can with what we got, because you know when you have so much stuff and not so much cash, that's what you do. And in this, you know, and that's that. I grew up knowing 5 of the 9 of the great grandparents, or 5 of the 9 of my great grandparents' children. They all were adults in the Great Depression. My mother was born in 1929. She grew up in the Depression. So, and then raising 6 kids, you know, then you reused, repurposed, you know, you did everything you could. And so, and you got creative. So I'm used to that. So we're going to go through and we're going to find out what things she saved, some things I saved. I don't know what's in any given box because it all got mixed up. This particular one says sewing. Stuff that came out of that room was stuff from me, stuff from my mom, stuff I inherited. So we're going to make do with what we got with the phone to film. And I try to watch the chats on the laptop. I have to come forward to see it. And I just see you ladies. We have 15. Hello and welcome. And so we're going to do these work with me's, and I'm going to have you guys go with me as we go through some of the stuff from Paul and we start figuring it out. And then there also will be the live sales every other week. So out here, I'll have to show it to you in a video sometime. My laptop is behind the ring lamp, and it is sitting on top of a cabinet for a 1940s television. Television guts are gone. We used it as a storage space for all the board games because we slide them into the back. But it looks kind of cool. We'd always figured putting shelves in, and it never happened. And now it's just I think that's one of the things I might send to that auction house. Paul said they take everything. They're in Norwood, so they're not too far away, and they come and get it, which is a blessing. So, how is everybody doing tonight? We had beautiful weather here in PA. Oh, I want to show you something I got. So the album looks a little questionable. I don't know if it'll play, but look what I got. I love that Christmas song. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then this was in the box too. I remember that artwork, but I can't remember from what. But the album is Cheap Thrills by Big Brother and the Holding Company. And one of the singers is Janis Joplin. Matter of fact, that's her on the back. So I looked it up on eBay, and they run about $20. So that may go, but this is staying with me. I love the Hippopotamus for Christmas song. But I got some albums from a friend who was doing some clean out, and I took some stuff to Goodwill for her, and she lets me pick out and keep a few things, and I kept some of the albums. So let's see what's here. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. I don't think the chat's moved. I know Lisa from Flippin' Crazy may still be doing her live sale. She's been doing a lot of jewelry. She does a lot of jewelry, but she's been doing a lot more than that lately. So we have, now I know, have any of you seen the Serendipity books before? Get a little closer so you can see them. Now I have to double check now, but I know these things were, they were Robin James and Stephen Cosgrove. And I know for a while there was a big following, and the hardback versions were going for about $15 to $20 a piece. So Mike loved these things. They're great stories. Like Pish Posh is a llama. Every creature is useful and special in its own way. Mingling, sharing your environment with others is rewarding, which is what the little thing is. So they're always short. Feather fin, I don't remember that one. That looks like an earlier one because it doesn't have all the wording on the front. Yeah, this one's from 1983. Feather fin one is earlier. But as we find these, I'm probably going to lot these together and put them on big lot onto eBay. So I need to find a spot. Haha. It's an eBay. I can't quite lift this. It's still too heavy. Oh, I wondered where this disappeared to. Advertising trade cards. It's not easy finding books that talk about advertising trade cards. And this is an older one. All right, we know this should go out. Give me a second. Yes, I see you, Kat. I see you. Okay, put that one right away. I keep finding these now and then, Horizon books. I used to pick them up at the library book sales dirt cheap because they were interesting to read. From 1963. I mean, it was an interesting like history magazine, except they always released it as a hardback. This one's summer 1964. So if you guys see anything that you are super interested in, you can send me an email. Oh, hello. Pity you're empty. You see what that says? It would have held a pen. Tiffany and Company. Ooh. Well, I don't know that I can sell that on eBay anymore. When I cleaned out stuff from Nancy, the one with the book collection, and helped empty the house, there were a ton of Tiffany empty boxes. And I used to sell them on eBay, and then Tiffany got annoyed that people were buying their boxes. So you can't actually sell them and say that they're Tiffany and Company anymore. At least you haven't for in a couple of years. So nice little Tiffany and Company box. It's all it's a little scuffed around the edges, but it is a dark flocked box made to feel like velvet. I see you, Frodo. I see you. And you cannot have my tea, and you can't be here. Yeah. Honestly, this little boy, this is the one I bottle fed. He and Gimli have lost their collars, which is making it very hard to tell them apart. Except this one is still a little smaller. Gimli is almost as big as the doctor, and definitely double the weight of this one. Because Gimli is a bruiser. So, but this is Frodo. Can you hear the loud purr this one's got? I don't know if you can get it. He's not being as loud. He can be way louder. Okay, dude, you have to go. Go find your brothers. Go find your sister. You like to hang out with her. He and Arwen would be fantastic for somebody who's, older or retired in an apartment or not. They are the most chill, quiet cats. I love them to pieces, but they need homes. All right. Oh, look. Let's see what we got. Oh, wow. School reading lists everywhere. The Penguin Great Books of the 20th Century edition of My Antonia by Willa Cather. So, yeah, I don't need that. I did not bring a box out for stuff that would be going. Well, you know what? Mike's heavy monster of a. We'll put that there. Nope. We have a butler for me, but it's gotten broken and now it doesn't like to stand up on its own. You have to get me a new one. Because me not being able to bend over, there are days where I cannot bend to the floor. So using a normal dustpan is out. So they call them a butler when it's the dustpan is on the bottom of a big long handle. So I'm going to make a pile of books that are leaving. And if I say that it's leaving and you want it, shoot me an email. And, whoops, I'm ready to start on the next box. We already done this one. Oh, this was for a popcorn sale from Boy Scouts back when Michael was still a scout. A Scooby-Doo glow-in-the-dark mystery. Well, that one, it's Scooby-Doo. I have other Scooby-Doo books. What is this doing here? Prospect Park High School commencement exercises, band award. These would be from my father because he's the one that went to Prospect Park. Another band award. They spelled his last name wrong. They spelled it Krouse. Boy, is that screwed up because it's Kraus. And it may have had the E on it. Pretty sure my grandfather dropped the E. Yeah, this is my dad's high school diploma from June of 1946. Wow. You know, one of my nieces, who was very close to her grandfather, she might like to have that. So I'll have to let Jennifer know. And Jen, if you're watching, by all means. Oh, that's a good point. Where did I put the magic marker? I had a magic marker out here. I had a Sharpie marker, a clicky Sharpie marker. I have the notepad, the pen, in case anybody said absolutely in the chat they wanted something. What the devil? Not in the pockets. Hang on. I didn't leave it in the powder room. I see you, young lady. Go away. Not in the hoodie. I will be right back because that is an absolutely excellent suggestion. Okay, guys, look out. Get your head out of the trash can. Yes. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. I don't know where the black marker went, but I found a red one, which it probably would work better because some of these are marked already in black marker. Somehow I have two handkerchiefs. It's been that kind of day. We have been bouncing all over the place. So there was stuff to do to get ready. And has anybody noticed the teal is gone? Has anybody even noticed that? Well, actually, Lulu, what I'm hoping to do is that anything that is specifically to, if it's staying, which is going to be an issue when we get to the boxes books, then, because the boxes of books were actually like my personal collection of books, and they're mostly the ones I haven't read yet. So those are definitely going to be an issue where I'm just going to have to write keep. I don't know about fabric. We'll see what happens when we get there. But yeah, I dyed it. And the funny part is, because I found in going through stuff, I found 3 different boxes of hair dye. This is the darkest one. This one was from Feria. And where the teal is has turned brown. So I have red hair with brown highlights in the front, which is really kind of bizarre. So, but one problem with this room is there's no airflow in this room, and it gets very warm. So I made sure I had a barrette so that I can tuck that in there. And thank you, Jeanette. Hello. Yeah, I decided, I was like, you know what? I'd never really liked that teal. It was left over from Michael. And I used it a couple times for the summer. But usually when I put a funky color in, it's primarily for the summer, for summer camp, for the Boy Scouts. And then I might keep it a little ways into the fall. Though I did keep the pink for a long time. I really did like the pink. Oh, your red turned purple. Yeah, I loved when we had to bleach my hair. We had to strip the color out of it in order to get the purple to show up real well. The hard part was like some of these colors, they don't stay that long. I'm going to open up a window if I can get to it. Ah! There we go. That'll help. I cannot at the moment, I cannot get to the door, and I can't open that anyway because I haven't replaced the screen on the old wooden door. Because Morgan, when we didn't know that we didn't have all of her kittens, she shredded that 1930s metal screen. She put a big rip in it, easily 14 inches long, to get out to go get the last kitten. So, yeah. And I haven't fixed that yet. We have gotten stuff off that porch, so I now can get to that door to fix it, and I can fix it from the outside. I just have to get enough. It seems like such a simple thing, but the budget is that tight. So when I can, I'll get to Lowe's or Home Depot. I live right near Lowe's, and I'll get a roll of screening because what was in the basement is only a small piece, and it's not big enough. And if I'm going to replace it, I might as well replace top and bottom, which is most of the door, is 2 separate sections of screening. And I'd rather get metal screening because metal screening for a door like that, when I know that in the winter we get all kinds of critters that come up there, I'd rather have something more substantial than that nylon stuff. Yeah, less talking, more sorting, especially since Michael just hollered at me to not be here too long. You know, because the last week when I was on Trisha and Otto, I didn't go to bed till 5:30 in the morning, and it took me days to get squared away. Oh, Mike wanted this one. Okay, so this is Gold Medal Flower Cookbook. We've been looking for this, and I didn't know where it was because Mike had started like looking at it. It's from 1910. And he'd actually looked at and made a couple of recipes in it, and then the book vanished. Well, that's because apparently it's here. So this one is going to go underneath my notepad. That should go out to the kitchen. Wow. Some of these are going to end up at a live sale soon. Look at that. Look at the graphics. Oh. Do I have a plan of where you're going to put the things you want to keep? Hell no. Sorry, no. Here's the problem with this house. And I don't know, it's been a long time since I've explained it this way. You know those little square puzzles with the tiles, and you have to slide this piece to here, and this piece down here, and this piece over here. And you got to slide all the pieces around until you get a complete picture. That's pretty much what this house is. It is a giant sliding puzzle. The difference now is that since 2020 to now, and in the 6 years prior to that, I spent 6 years just selling off books. There's actually wiggle room now. There's actually finally wiggle room. And I haven't had that in a long time. I had been in the back end of the dining room, and we were going to take those big bins that are out there and use them for stuff for flea market. But now that we know about this auction house in Norwood, it'll take all that kind of stuff, and they give you 75%, which is huge. So we're gonna just, Mike and I talked about on the way home, all the stuff that is staying may go into the back end of the dining room. We haven't quite decided, Mike and I, because there's not really much room, too many other places. But the plan is that a lot of this hopefully is going to go, but I'm kind of iffy about when we get to my books. All right, so we know this one's for a live sale. And we know, because I'd rather give you guys a chance at these old cookbooks. What do we got? Oh, wow. Everyday Food Magazine. From the kitchens of Martha Stewart Living. The Recipe Detective. Make-alike recipes inspired by famous places and popular products. Well, I don't think the magazines we have to worry about. We're just going to plop them down there. Yankees main dish. All right. New England cook-off. Oh, my Lord. Excuse me while I gag. I found a pile of Martha Stewart. All right, so I'm going to... Okay. Cookbooks we find tonight will be in next week's sale. Unless you really have your heart set on one. We'll see, but you can email me. So one of the things that Nancy did, she was on the board at Winter, which is this fancy house in Delaware. And Martha Stewart filmed a lot of Thanksgiving specials and Christmas specials down there. So there were so many signed Martha Stewart books that it was crazy. But there's these little booklets. There's 3 of them. Secrets for Entertaining, for a holiday feast, an antipasto party, a buffet party for family and friends. And let me tell you how early these are. Look at how young Martha Stewart looks. Now, she may have her issues, but you have to admit, some of her stuff early on is helpful. That's another magazine. So, handmade gifts. We're going to, we're going to put that one with those 3. We'll make that a nice little lot. They've all come in like white on rice now that, Mike will want this. It's a professional mixing guide. What's the year? The accredited list of recognized and accepted standard formulas for mixed drinks. Do we have a year? 1964. Michael wants that. I know Michael wants that. As I have found it, I've been finding barware for him. And so I've been putting it aside. Oh, saddle soap. Yes. Saddle soap is great for, is it actually saddle soap? Is great for anything leather. Okay, that sounds like a get Michael to open it in the morning. These are dusty, but Post-it notes. Beach theme. Yes, I do have a notebook ready. And if I miss you, I know, Marilyn, those old cookbooks, but I will make a pile of them and we can put them, you can think about them, we'll put them in the sale for next week. I'm not keeping the old tissue paper. And while this is an older Lesney product, oh, what a pity. I'm going to throw this away, though. Normally I wouldn't, but one of my brothers did a lousy paint job. And I think I can't even salvage the wheels because they got paint on the wheels. So, because normally like Lesney toys, these old metal Matchbox cars, and I would hang on to them because they are worth it and I could sell them off as a lot. When we get to doing toys, I know there's a bunch of these, but that one's painted and shot. We're getting rid of that one. RFD Countryside Art. Oh, this is cool. I'll have to look up this artist. Nancy Saywin? It's just look at the different mailboxes. Posted, early model. Sent me a letter. RFD roulette. That's cute. Oh, it's signed. Look, it's signed. Dedicated to the RFD mail carrier. RFD is rural something. I used to know. Published by the Holly Press in Hokuston, Delaware. And there's a copyright and a Library of Congress number. Do we have a date? I know if that's all rural roots. That's part of what it means. I don't see a date anywhere. But that's an artist book signed by the artist. That's definitely. Did I not start an eBay pile? I did. I stuck down there. 1991 Household Hints from Farmer's Almanac. Somehow I don't know that that'll be worth anything. Let's set that aside. Free recipe book with the purchase of Dove bars. Julia Child. Another little cookbook. Thank you. Rural free delivery. That's something that's become a big issue with some of these politicians that want to privatize Country Living from 2007. Well, that's a tourist kind of book for this area. Well, I think Country Living might be like all over the place, but this particular one is for this area. That could be recycled. There. Give the cat something to look at. This should go in the ephemera lot. It's a little thing on the Railroad Museum. I will have a little pile for ephemera up there. Delicious Desserts by Eagle Brand. The Silver Palette Pantry Recipes. An emery board. We're just going to chuck that. So how many of you have like boxes in your attic and stuff that you or in a closet that you've never gone through? Opera news. Do you at least have like cool costume pictures? No, you don't. Well, that's no fun. They recycle. That out of here. Ah, hey, I have this one. I don't need two of them. Kahlua. Hello, Linda. Oh, a mini book. And as usual, Nancy marked recipes. Oh, she marked a recipe for chocolate truffles. I'll be hanging on to that. I have a collection of some very old ones and a few of these small ones of mini books. I'll hang on to that one. A collection of recipes from Audrey Jillian's Dilworth Town Country Store. That's in Chester County. That's not far from here. So there's another cookbook. The Joy of Chocolate. Ooh, because we all love our chocolate. James Beard. Why do I know that name? Calendar and Recipe Book of Regional American Food, 1984. That might be cool to look at. I'll look at that and then I'll decide if that's going. Let's take out Post-it notes. We have a toy and a fork. I can't imagine you go to any toy worth it. All right. That is a box down. And let's get so we're going to get the dust and stuff out of there. And I'm going to get all these cookbooks. Chocolate. You go in there. You go in there. Now I'm going to do these as a lot. There's 3 little mini chocolate cookbooks. So all those cookbooks we'll put into next week's sale. And look, 1 down. Yay! So, what sounds right, Jen? Oh, okay. Let's see. Food award guy. He might be. I don't know. I know the name, and I don't know why. That is him? Okay. Kicking up a lot of dust. You know, I did take my allergy medicine. 1984, I graduated from high school. Shoe fly pie. Mint juleps, well, Michigan. Tiny zucchini, summer pudding, broiled chicken with tarragon butter stuffed under the skin, and fruit soup. Now, y'all in Michigan, what are you doing making fruit into a soup? What are you doing? Next box. Sewing. Fiona's not in the house, is she? She'll be chomping at the bit for this. All right. What do we got? Other than the fact that this box got some damage to it. Oh my Lord, these were for dresses for me. Because in the 90s, you did dresses with like a nice soft knit top, right? Cotton knit. But then the skirt would be a pattern. And don't know if this is the one meant for that blue. You know, Mom would buy stuff and it's like the shoemaker's kids have no shoes. But look at that. Look at the kitties. Bird seed, little bluebirds. And the cat in this one is actually got wrapped around, his paws are wrapped around a birdhouse. So I could see that there will be a fabric sale. Fiona will be so happy. I do like dresses like that. They were always so easy because you could just put them over your head because the top stretched. But okay, that fabric's definitely going. This is the fabric for the top. That I would make something out of. Who am I kidding? I would have Michael make something out of. Oh, I know what this is for, and I'm so glad there's more. So this is for a quilt that is somewhere that I started and needed more baskets because it's a basket weave. So I can finish the quilt when I find it. Ha ha ha. Hi, Nora. How are you? Oh, isn't this pretty? Oh, this is just a back. Okay, I thought it was that. That's the back. Wait till you see the front. Come on. Come on. Where's the spot where you're open? There we go. Look at that. See all that gold on there? Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm willing to part with that one. This doesn't look like it's enough to be the skirt for one of those dresses, but it's all teacups and saucers and teapots. Well, not saucers, but it's all teapots. Okay, well, that's going to go on the pile to go. What's this one? More cat stuff. More cat stuff. Yeah, and this is all stuff too that sometimes it'd be from a quilt shop, and other times it'd be back in Joann Fabrics back when it was better quality. I was so disappointed. Like a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, we were in getting some fabric for something to fix something that Mike was working on. And honest to God, I could take the fabric and I could hold it up and I could see the light fixtures through the fabric. And it was supposed to be a solid color, and I was so disappointed. But this has Kitty Cat Angel on this one. So there's definitely going to be a fabric sale, and I know exactly what I'll do is that I'll have all the measurements and we'll make it an offer up sale. Why do I hear crushy, crushy? Oh, you're playing. Come here, give me that. Come on, let me have it. They absolutely love these, and they're like foil kind of thing. They're the only toys they haven't destroyed. They have 2 fabric mice left. The long pole that had feathers on the end, they've stripped the feathers off and they still steal the little wand part. So they have torn up most of their toys. Come on. Oh, I'm messing with them. Go get it. At least they're behaving and mostly out of here. Oh, this is for my quilting projects and for the little fairy houses, most likely, because it's stepping stones, cobblestone. Oh, the teapot fabric would be good for a toaster cover. You know, the one problem with like fabric is that when it's put away for so long, and in here too, because there's a hole in the ceiling right above me, the dust mites are just killing me. That's neat. That's a nice metallic silver, little silver all through that. That'll hang on to that. Oh, here's more. Here's more. I must have been planning a quilt at some point. More teacups. Oh, definitely was planning a quilt. Look at this. That looks like just 1 yard. That's gorgeous. Okay. I'd be tempted to either keep this one, and you know what? Being that these are 1 yard cuts, I would bet that these came from the quilt shop. Can y'all stop? No, no, no. Away from the ring light. Away. Do I need to throw you guys out? Do I need to put you children to bed? Out. 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 Go. Yeah, you're the only one behaving because you're in the window. Don't get the rammies in here. This is the other one. Look at that. Oh. Now, honestly, that's I would love doing that. Because, you know, sometimes having just a little hint of black kind of like anchors a room. But I really like that. Oh, that's very, very nice. Oh, that's very, very tempting. All right, I can't keep both. So we're going to put that one in, not that one. And we're going to get any dust out of this bag. Hey, a bag is not a toy. It's that time of night. This is why they're locked away when I do live sales, because they get the zoomies and they always follow me whatever room I'm in. All right, so all this will be going to a fabric live sale. That's a lot there. Fiona will be through the moon, to the moon, because she loves it. And the only ones I'm keeping is because I know these two, there's projects there for. I am not ready to part with that one yet. Just not ready. What else we got? Black dress in parts. Okay. Oh, hello. What did she do? This is like nice crepe, the old school crepe. Look at the top of this. So this is the skirt. And then okay. So it's small too. Look at how tiny this bodice is. This is the bodice. Sweetie, I'd get arrested. That's tiny. I'm guessing that somebody wanted a different top and then changed their mind and decided not to. Now, what do you do with stuff like this? The heck? Oh, yeah, because look, here's a mock-up for a bigger top. And odds are then they change their mind. Because the one is not, it's the same, they matched up the black, but it's not the same. It's not this, like this feels like silk crepe. The dress feels like silk crepe. This is not silk crepe. This is black polyester. So somebody had a nice vintage dress that they needed to make bigger in the top. But now what do I do with it? You know, I mean, that's the part that just, yeah, I have to see if we find more stuff like this, because I did that once with a bunch of bridal dresses, is I gave them to the local high school. And I think there's another one I spotted in the, a blue satin one in the dining room. Sit that up there. Two yards, 42 inches wide of what? Oh, that's just basic black. What are you? You're not? You feel too silky to be cotton. Maybe you are. Your selvage edge is like cotton, so basic black. Mom's little note on it. Nice to know it's 42 inches wide. We'll add that to the bag, I think, of stuff for the sale. Oh, another one. tied up in a bag. Anybody like the ASMR? Where you hearing all the plastic? Oh, dear Lord in heaven, come here, sir. Go away. All right. I'm untying the knots in the bags because I don't want to just rip the bags up because I might need them to like keep it stored in them. Ooh, fancy. Fancy schmancy. There's a lot of this. This is a sheer. Pale blue sheer. I wonder if this was supposed to be the new curtains that never got made for my old bedroom. There's a lot here. It'd be great to make a set of sheer curtains, probably more than one. Okay, there's no note that says how much. Oh, wait, assorted shears. Well, this is the original tag, but it's off. Now, it says that originally there was 12 yards. I don't know that there's 12 yards. But that definitely tells me that that was supposed to be the new blue shears for my old bedroom that never happened. We're going to add that to the fabric sale. Because we just are. Case of where she kept everything. It's another one. This is a nice, it's not quite as sheer as the blue. It's a peach color. But again, there's yardage there. So add that. All right, you out. Because now you're getting dangerously close to a piece of glass. Go on, you two. Go. Go, 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 go. You too. I don't want you out here either. Nope. Nope. Come here, you. Come on, Frodo. Go play with your siblings. Out you go. Enough of that. Enough of that. Now, okay, what is this? This is nice. So it's kind of soft, not quite like suede on one side, and then feels like a crepe on the other. Have no idea if it's a silk crepe or not. You know, I mean, she did do stuff out of some very fabulous fabrics, but I'm not as good as she was. Oh, yeah, you've just seen how the little night terrors are. Honestly, they are little night furies at night. They sleep all day and then get the zoomies around midnight. Sorry about the blow in the nose. Usually on sale nights, I cheat and I feed them like a tablespoon each of a can of cat food. I'll split it between the 5 of them. And it's just enough that it will make them happy and they go to sleep for a while. Sugar Britches! Hello, darling. How are you? So, well, I remember this fabric bouncing around a lot. And this one definitely feels like a silk. Nice little pattern. Nice little floral pattern. Sometimes the salvage edge will have who the maker was, and then I might be able to ID what the fabric is. Kind of like that. That would make a nice lining for a vest. Mike might like that. There's a big bag on the bottom of this box that I can't quite get to. This is, oh, this is for Christmas stuff. This is white velour. It's thin velour, but it's white velour. And this is probably leftover because you can see that this end, this is all the scrap pieces. I'm telling you, she was Depression era child, you know. Oh, and there's white tulle in here too. I wonder if it was to a costume of some sort. But that would be good. Boy, that would be good for doing Christmas crafts. Now, what are you? Because you're big, and I can't quite. Okay. So she tied a bow on it. Okay, did any of your parents ever do this? She would keep the selvage edge strip that she cut off and use it to tie stuff up with all over the house. You know, when she grew tomatoes, they'd be tied to the cage. Oh, wow. This is a whole bunch of that white. Look at all this. This is all that same white velour. My heavens. What on earth was this for? There's a lot of this. That's some serious yardage. That would, honestly, that would like, I can't imagine with the small crafting I do for that I could use that much. That's a ton. All right, you know what? I know what this box is. This box, we're gonna stuff that one back in there. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take everything that's not quilting cotton. We're gonna put it all in here. All the fancy fabrics. They're going in here. Are you cotton or are you questionable? I think you're cotton. So, where'd that marker go? See, I'm going to mark the box just like you suggested. Non-crafting cotton for live sale. So now we know we've got this. And it's good because I want to get rid of this box anyway because the corner got all torn up. So drop that on the floor. There. We have one lone book, the My Antonia book, that's definitely leaving. Sit that down there. Oh, Mike, what'd you do? All right, so this heavy one and this heavy one are on top of this one, which is more fabric. Can I? You just don't want it to get too wobbly. That's all books. Yep, I can stick my finger in there. There's a gap. This is all books. This is all books. Good Lord, did he put all the books in one pile? That's a big pile. So what do you want? Books or fabric? We got a choice here. Oh, the two bags of white together? I would like to save the smaller piece of white because I know I have a pattern that I used to take fuzzy material like that and make teddy bears with that were soft and somewhat stretchy fabric because they were easy to just throw in the wash. And I didn't pack them tight hard either. They were nice, squishy, before Squishmallows came along. And I would use that little, but I'm not keeping that massive thing of white. I'm just keeping this one, just this one, with the scrappy pieces. I will hang on to that. And that actually, I will put the fabric I'm keeping over there. And so that's why I didn't tie the two together. Books. Okay, let's see. Yes, I'm being careful. You know how I know this is an old box of books? It says Walden Books right there on the label. Shipped to the Walden Books in the Granite Run Mall. The one I worked at for years and loved. Oh, I know I spend way too much money on books. I used to read between 100 and 150 books a year, which for some people that's not that many, but for most people that's quite a few. And this year on Goodreads, I set myself a challenge to read, I think, 60, and I'm not there yet. Okay, so I know that's going to be staying. The Sherlock Holmes scrapbook, and the actor Peter Cushing did the foreword. So I know that's going to be, you're going to see quite a variety of what I read. I read a lot. Oh, I don't know if that just happened, but the box is split. All right. I know I've read this, and this one I should look up for on eBay. It is an ex-library book. I am not averse to reading them. It is Monty Python and the Holy Grail book. And it was put out, it's basically a mock-up of the script and changes they did and sketches. Well, Jeanette, it's because I've only got these. We did one carload, and it's hit or miss what we're going to grab. I mean, I know there's boxes that are fabric that we took to Paul's. I know there's boxes of books. I know there's boxes of toys. There's all kinds, and it's all jumbled up, so we don't know what we're grabbing. So I don't really mind because this is nice and high. It'd be a lot harder if this was, I can slide and move it over. I can't lift from the floor. That's where the problem with the spine comes in. So I don't mind doing this one. I do know this is going to get looked up on eBay, and because I don't know that there's too many Monty Python fans here, but I'd be willing to part with that one. Patterns in Shakespearean Tragedy. Oh yeah, I am just turned 57. Congestive heart failure runs in my family, and I have dodged several bullets with my health. I kind of think I'm going to pin down and weed out some books, even though I haven't read them, and that's going to be one of them. And honestly, if you see a book in the playback or now, email me, put it in the chat, whatever. See a book or anything tonight, let me know, because this one's going to go Patterns in Shakespearean Tragedy, Irving Ribner. I mean, I like the cover art, but, and there is, well, there's a page that's got something underlined there. I'm guessing somebody had to read this for college, and it doesn't look like they got anywhere past the introduction, because there is a paragraph noted and underlined in the introduction, and that's it. It's in great shape. I don't think anybody ever read it. It's from 1960. Yeah, there's no way they read it. It's got a little wear on the bottom here where it got dinged, but the spine's not even cracked, so somebody didn't even read it. Wow. ABE books. I love ABE books. They are for those of you who don't know what they are, it started off as a clearinghouse for small booksellers to sell. And I know some people have gotten rid of their brick and mortar stores and just do it through there. But in the days since, with eBay, I know has cut into their market. Amazon bought them. Amazon apparently now owns ABE books. So, but it is a great one. A Hope in the Unseen, an American Odyssey from the inner city to the Ivy League. This is about a young man from Washington, D.C., was honor student, and the summer after his junior year at a program for minorities at MIT, man, he got accepted into Brown University, which is part of the Ivy League. And it's about his whole journey there. That's cool. That one will be going. Regeneration by Pat Barker. What is this? Is this fiction or is this nonfiction? What's the Booker Prize for? With such novels. So it must have been a novel. Takes place in 1917 after the First World War. Interesting artwork. I like the artwork. Oh, she uses ABE. The problem with ABE though is I don't think you can research sold prices. You can only see what people are asking for. And that is a bit of a dilemma. Civil War Curiosities, Strange Stories, Oddities, Events, and Coincidences. Now, see, that's the kind of history book I absolutely love. That's one. Now, is it signed? Is it signed? Not signed, from 1994. Okay, so I have to admit, this is one I would want to hang on to, my Sherlock one. Oh, A Modern Circe. I love this book. Okay. There was somebody who used to write books, and they just went by the name, The Duchess. And A Modern Circe is one of them. And this thing is so old. It's literally like coming apart. The paper's all brown and brittle. It's missing the page that gives me the date though, but this is from the 1800s. I thought I didn't still have this one. I would not mind reading that again. I absolutely loved it. You wanted the one about the young man going to MIT, or that had been to the MIT summer program and went to Brown. A Hope Unseen by Ron Suskind. Is it Suskind or Suskind? I mean, I know he wrote for the Wall Street Journal. I always check to see if stuff is signed, because after that book collection I inherited, there were so many signed books. Booker Prizes for fiction. Okay. So we're getting there. I mean, I've kept 3 books and I've got 4 books leaving. 30 famous one-act plays. Isn't that the Reader's Digest logo? Now let's see. If it's got a certain play in it, I want to read that play. There is a play That was the first use of the term robot that I've been looking for, and I know it's in one of these books. Oh, you have a Lord Dunsany, A Night at an Inn, but that's not the right one. That's not the one. Ah, Eugene O'Neill, Kaufman. I used to read, oh no, a Noel Coward one. William Saroyan, Oscar Wilde, Salome. Might read the Lord Dunsany one, but otherwise, A Sunny Morning. And it's translated from the Spanish, so not everything in here is just American. What was the student's name? So that 30 famous one-act plays is going to go. The student's name Cedric Jennings. Cedric is Cedric. Cedric Jennings is the young man. That was the student's name. Oh, got an issue right there. That's going. The Phenomenon of Man by Sir Julian Huxley. That would be a philosophy book. Oh, no, it's not. It's a science book. Qualitative Laws of Growth, Discovery of Evolution, Birth of Thought. So it's science and philosophy? Yeah, I think I can pass on that. Teilhard de Chardin. Oh, the introduction is Sir Julian Huxley. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. I know I'm mutilating that name. I flunked French. I flunked Japanese, I flunked Spanish. Do not ask me to diagram a sentence in English. So, yeah, I think that's leave it. Like I said, massively wide variety of stuff that I read. I never read romances, and I didn't like modern horror. I did like some of Anne Rice, but for the most part, why won't you come out? You're stuck. For the most part, I would not read horror. Okay, I know I'm keeping this to read. Shut up and eat your snowshoes. What happens when a city slicker flees the safety of Sardis for the wilds of Canada? That, I could have fun with that. No, you're not coming in, little ones. Let's see. A study of Dante's comedy. It's called The Ladder of Vision, and it's gotten squished. Now, I absolutely love Dante's Inferno. I think it is a wild book to read. I have a fantastic old edition. I would definitely hang on to that. I know I will hang on to this one too because I see who wrote it. It's Goldsmith, and I do. Goldsmith was a British writer. He wrote She Stoops to Conquer, which is the play he's most known for, and I really like that. And this is his Deserted Village. So, good night, Lou. I don't know. The two in the beginning of what? The two books? I don't know. A Hope in the Unseen and Regeneration. Oh yeah. I mean, there was a time where it just, and some of these may have just gotten, I was interested at the time, But, you know, these have been packed away for a long time because at one point I thought I was going to move out, had planned to move out, and then my mom had congestive heart failure. We were due to sign the lease in 3 weeks. So she almost died. So I ended up staying. And then the next time I was about to move out, my dad died. He was only 67. I was only 30 at that point. So again, couldn't move out. Mom was in shock. Dad's death was an aneurysm. It was sudden. And then the funerals just kept coming. By the time 6 months had passed that year, we had 11 funerals in 6 months. And at the end of those 6 months, I got custody of my nephew, Michael, who's the one I call my son. He was 2 years old. This past August, he turned 28. I have used this for reference so much as a kid. It is the New American Encyclopedia of Social and Commercial Information. I guess this is why I kind of have, and this is the new edition, such a odd background. Is like I would look stuff up in this penmanship and how to do things, and this book's from 1908. It'd be fun to read it now. Look, they even have jujitsu. Like, it's got the most amazing stuff in it. Hey, Hoover's, Corgis, and Coin. Hello, hello. I just found a bunch of old coins. I knew I had them somewhere. All right, so you're staying. This is another oldie. This is Lord Byron. You know, I mean, some people decorate with old books just because, you know, the covers, but this cover is actually off. Not surprised when you consider the age of the book. But what always gets me is look at how tiny the print is. Oh my, my. The print is so tiny. Does it have illustrations in it? Yes. Yes, it does. And so it does have plates. It does have a couple of plates. And the plates even still have their tissue paper opposite. I ended up getting like books like this that were at library sales. I always like raided the old book section. Because sometimes if they were falling apart, they just give them to you. I think I was so into books because growing up, there were only 2 other kids my own age in the neighborhood. And I had so few books of my own, everything with hand-me-down books from my siblings. And so when I was old enough and I was reading, before I started kindergarten, I was reading on a 1st or 2nd grade level. So that was my refuge, was reading. I still have my copy of Little Women, which had been my mother's, which had been her mother's. And then when we emptied out my grandmother's house, we found Little Men, which was a matching one to that. So I have those. And then I had to find Joe's Boys, which is the 3rd of the trilogy. So, oh yeah, you know what's good for that is they make these magnifying glasses for people that do embroidery, and it's a big thing like this, and it hangs off your neck, and it just props up here, and so when you look down, your hands are free to do your stitching, and they're great for that kind of thing. Hello, Shaco. Oh, you appreciate a book collection? Oh yeah, like I said, I had inherited, not only was I a bookaholic, I inherited a massive collection. Caroline Hart. Oh, I remember when she was really popular in the 90s. I don't know if she's still putting out murder mysteries or not. The Mint Julep. Look, I've never even read it. Never even read it. Not one of the ones that I kept because it's got Gilbert and Sullivan mentioned, is it? Hey, cut that out. Hey, stop that. Stop it. Stop it. No. You're going to ruin my woodwork. Stop it. It's always you. Aragorn is in the room. The house has enough issues. I don't want them tearing up the woodwork. This woodwork in this house, I think you can actually, well, you can kind of see, it's the only woodwork that wasn't painted white. And it's all the original stain from 1935. So, but, all right. So Mint Julep murder takes place down in, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. I would rather, he's right underneath the ring light. So I'm going to send that one away. The theme of love, fiction, drama, poetry, essay. Yeah, last time I had dated somebody, the idiot broke up with me the night before my mother's viewing. Wasn't that just lovely? I always felt like my education, because I had bounced around from Christian schools and then only spent 2 years in Chester High to graduate. It's from 1969. Okay, so they've got 2 dramas, Tennessee Williams and William Shakespeare, essays by everybody from Plato to F. Scott Fitzgerald, poetry from Chaucer to Edmund Spenser, John Donne, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, I know who that is, to Robert Frost. So yeah, I think that one could go too, don't you? But I could do without love for a while. If they break up with you the night before your mother's viewing. Promise is to keep. Now, I think this got made into a movie. The true story of Eliza Benson and the family she stood by for 3 generations. I wouldn't mind reading that. See, this is the danger. I have a bigger pile I'm keeping than I have what I'm getting rid of. But at least I'm getting rid of. Oh, I know I want to keep this. Laughter and Despair. Readings in 10 novels of the Victorian era. Who do you have? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, no. No. What did you do? You jerk. No, you jerk. He bit one of the cookbooks. Get out of there. No. What the heck is wrong with you and your twin? You. No. Out. No. Bad boy. Honestly, the twins, the 2 gray ones, have a thing about paper. Every once in a while, they get on a kick about paper. You bugger. He ripped it, too. He ripped the border off. You little... Darn it. And that's in the box of stuff that's supposed to be in the next, the cookbooks that are going to be in the next live sale next Thursday. Well, he mutilated that one. And that's the Dilworth Town Country Store, which I believe is now the Dilworth Town Inn in Chester County. You jerk. Stop it. Hey. Go lay down. You've been a bad boy. Go lay down. See if that works. I don't know why they have this fascination with paper. Honestly. What do we got? Oh! Catalyst, Alan Bean Foster. Definitely. By any chance, I doubt you are, but are you? No, you're not signed. Darn it. All right. Lawrence of Arabia, original paperback. Sand Child. The heck is that one? It's a novel. So the man had only one desire. He wanted to have a son. Year after year, child after child. The wife gave him nothing but daughters. So Haji Ahmed made a secret decision. When the 8th child was born, he announced far and wide that finally he had a son, an heir, a boy who he named Muhammad Ahmed. Only the child's mother and the old midwife knew the truth. The boy was a girl. Well, that's interesting. Jean Rye's Voyage in the Dark. Good Morning Midnight. I don't know who that is. These are old Penguin editions. Those three look interesting. We'll hang on to those. Right now, the book I'm reading is from like 1915, and it's actually on geology, but it's on the geology of the actual Philadelphia area. The only romance novels I ever read were by Gail Link. Before she started writing for Silhouette, she worked at Walden Books with us. You had to be careful what you told her because sometimes they got used in the books. That's all I'm going to admit to. That's all I'm admitting to. And so I did read hers because I knew her, and I have copies of hers that are all autographed and inscribed directly to me. And I liked hers because there's a healthy dose of accurate history. Because she really wanted the history. She was a history major, wanted the history to be accurate. It's like reading A Discovery of Witches. Yeah, there's a romance to it, but the historical background and the fact, if you fact check a lot of the history in it, it's because that's also Deborah Harkness is actually a professor of history. And so the history side of it is just fascinating to me. Oh, the geology book is pretty cool. And I actually had to double check with a friend of mine that does scuba diving because they mentioned this one rock quarry. And I think that's the old quarry around here where they do scuba diving and do certification tests. So I have to double check because at the time they wrote the book, it was still an active quarry. Yeah, I like some mysteries. I had a list somewhere. I was working my way through all the Agatha Christie's at one point. That's a lot of Agatha Christie. I love the Cat Who series. And there have been so many new ones. I'm so far behind in that. I'm definitely not. Old English Ballads and Folk Songs. 1927. With a copyright from 1904. Look at the artwork. This is Guy of Gisborne, which would have been part of the Robin Hood story. I love little books like this. I love little tiny books. Absolutely love little tiny books. Kinmont Willie. Oh, it's fun when they write it in the vernacular. That's always fun because then you have to say it out loud in order to figure out what some of it is sometimes. Oh, I know. I see why I kept this. It's got Guy of Gisborne. It's got Robin Hood and Little John. That's why. Because I'm a big Robin Hood fan. That's why that one stuck around. Macaulay's essay on Addison. Who's Addison? Who is Addison? I don't know who that is. Edited and annotated by Charles Wallace French. 1918. And this copyright is 1898, but this printing is January 1916. And apparently this guy with the wig is Addison. I don't know who that is. I must have known who it was at some point, or maybe not. but I think that can go. Oh my goodness. Primitive Christianity. Oh, Scoundrel Time by Lillian Hellman. Jack Parr, I kid you not. They're worth looking up. Some of that old Hollywood stuff still is popular. And I will probably keep the Primitive Christianity because I'm interested in the Cathars. So the Cathars were in France. The Cathars were the only Christians that had a crusade by a pope against them. They believed in following Jesus like more to the letter than the Catholic Church has, that you give the poor, love one another, help each other out. And they lived by that. But a lot of them had money. And so it was a huge land grab when they had that. Oh, you know what's fun? I grew up reading Nancy Drew, okay, and I had some of my sisters. Some of my sisters were from our mom, and they were before the rewrite. Because Nancy Drew goes back in the 30s. You know, she used to, and some of the early ones, she used to actually carry a gun in her purse. But yeah, they did a rewrite and watered it down a lot. So it's fun to be able to find the originals and read them. Hi, Kitty. Okay, World Masterpieces. Book 1, Through the Renaissance. I was determined that I was going to increase my education. I think the term is autodidact. Because of the fact that 5 years in Christian schools, I had never been allowed to read Shakespeare. You were only allowed to read Christian literature. When I got to Chester High, because I was so bad at math, we didn't know then, because they didn't test Gen X for anything, about dyslexia, and I'm dyslexic with numbers. So they put me in my math skills. You could be on a different grade for each class. For each subject in the Christian schools. So I had already finished by the age of 16 when I ended up out of there. I'd already finished 12th grade history, 12th grade spelling, had finally gotten rid of all the grammar English and was blowing through literature books like mad. I mean, I was doing a packet a week because I was just so happy to finally be in the book reading one, and I was just blowing through that. They couldn't give me any more science because my math was just beginning to get geography and basic algebra, and I didn't understand it. Apparently, there is a learning differential where you can't substitute. It's too much like apples and oranges. They don't substitute. So when you put a letter in an equation with a bunch of numbers, my brain goes, no, that's not logical. And I had a horrible time with that. So Chester High didn't know where to put me. So they put me in business administration. So again, you don't have any literature. You have history and all that, but you really don't have any literature to read. So when I got to college, because of my background, I couldn't take the SATs. I found a back door in. I went to community college, took their placement exam, got in. And instead of being put into remedial English, I was put in remedial math, but I tested right into Comp 1 because of reading older, late 1800s and early 1900s books. My style of writing was very literate, very wordy, with a very big vocabulary, for bigger than most kids my age. So I got in, but one of the first things we had was Hamlet. And it blew the professor's mind that not only had I never read Hamlet, I'd never read any Shakespeare ever, because I didn't get it in the 2 years of high school, and so I never had it in the 5 years of Christian school. So blew his mind. So that was when I first became aware that I had this massive gap of knowledge. And there was a book called, and I think it's still in print. My copy's pretty old, but it is basically a book of lists of recommended reading from 100 top colleges. And I had been working my way through that for years, which is why you find books like this, which have stuff in them. Oh, you're interested in the cathars? I don't know too much about the Essenes. Essenes? I don't know how to pronounce that. I know about the cathars. There is a movie about the cathars. It's a time travel kind of movie, but it revolves around what happened with them. And I don't remember the name of it, but John Hurt, the actor, is in it. So if you do a search of him, you're liable to find the movie. And I can't remember the name. It led me to the book that the woman wrote, who's actually, it's a fiction book, but turns out she's actually a descendant of a Cathar family. And where are you? I'm in the playroom. This is the room that actually had been the room where the kittens had to be raised. But which is why we had some space, and I got stuff back from Philly Phlipper that's been from out of this. These boxes were originally in the Black Hole Challenge room. And before I got hurt, we took carloads of stuff to be stored at his place. It was only supposed to be for 6 months, and it's been a year and a half because I hurt my spine. So we got the first carload back because he's moving. He actually has to be out and done. He's moving January 30th. So there's actually an extra month there because it was supposed to be the end of December, but it's going to be the end of January. So we went today and got the first carload of boxes to go through and see what's here and what's leaving. World Masterpieces is leaving. Right now we're working on a box of books. I went through a little box that had cookbooks in it. We've gone through a box of fabric. And this box of books is almost done. Now, I know this was on a lot of reading lists, and I've never read it. But how old is this paperback? Because I've never seen the artwork of the cover. Looks like 1960s or older. Yep. 1963 is this edition of All the King's Men. Interesting artwork by Robert Penn Warren. I honestly don't know what All the King's Men is about. Huey Long? Was he a politician? He was a politician, wasn't he? I don't remember. I probably got that because it was on those reading lists. But you know what? I'm 57. I got 20 years. I can't read all this stuff. So that one's leaving. My pile is going to tip over if I... So let's put it down here with my Antonia. This is another one, and I'm pretty sure was on the reading list. And I can't say it or YouTube will flag me. Labyrinth. Yes, I think that might be it. Not the Labyrinth with David Bowie, but Labyrinth. Because, is it Kate Moss who wrote the book? But she's got a couple of them. Apparently there's like a whole, it's a part of a series, and that was the first one. So, you know, it's always trouble when all they put on the back is not a description of the book, but just the, they just put on it all of the critiques from the people who read it. Publishers Weekly, Village Voice. I don't know. It says she tells a horrific story. I can only imagine. But I think that one will go too. Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. When I was a little kid, by the time I think I was 8 when Uncle George did it. Uncle George technically was a great uncle, but he was only 14 years older than my mother, so he was more like a big brother to her because he was the youngest of the 9 and the great grandparents' kids. And I mean, heck, in my own family, my brother Steve is 16 years older than me. Well, used to be. Steve passed away. Um, so, it's to have a sibling that's that close in age is nothing to me. And so he was more like a big brother to my mom. And he gave me a little notepad. Actually, it was a little notebook because they didn't have those little spiral pads then. And told me he was going to give me a book or else give me the title to get one from the library. Now, this is by the time I was 8 years old. By the time I was 8 years old, I was already reading stuff that would have been for 5th and 6th graders. So he wanted to kind of steer that into making sure I was reading stuff that was more appropriate and not, because you don't know what to read, so you just grab any book off the shelf. And he told me to write down any word I didn't know and what page or a sentence or two of how it was being used. And then when I saw him again in the next, week or two, then I could show him the words and he would explain them to me. And so he kind of steered that. So I still have my copy of Swiss Family Robinson he gave me, which I absolutely loved. It was fantastic and then I found out as I got older, the science in Swiss Family Robinson is all accurate to what they knew at the time, which is really cool because if you pay attention, it actually teaches you how to make gunpowder, as well as Jello from actual seaweed. That was one. I read Hunchback of Notre Dame was one of the ones he recommended. The Three Musketeers. Keep in mind, he started recommending these to me. I was 8. I think I read The Three Musketeers when I was 10. What 10-year-old reads these? Not a watered down version either. The actual full book. Oh yeah, he's the one who taught me how to wood carve. He taught me how to make candles. It was awesome. I love Uncle George. This is The Gospel According to the Sun by Norman Mailer. Not signed. I don't think any of these are going to be signed ones. Huh. So it's actually about Jesus. That should be interesting. Hang on to that one. Now, last little bit in here. There's about 6 or 7 more. Okay, with a title like that, I know. Witch's Maiden. Oh, I know I kept this. Not only because I haven't read it yet, but look at that artwork. I know that artwork. That's Marie Lawson. Yep, Marie Lawson. Gorgeous illustrations. Are there any more or just that one? That's the one problem with some of these old kids' books. They just would put just one book plate in. A Historical Romance, by Mabel L. Tyrrell. Illustrations by Marie Lawson. But look at the end papers. Isn't that awesome? I wonder. Okay, this is a special one I'm going to have to sit aside, and I'll explain why. Over there's a box of books hiding in the corner. It's not full yet. They are all very specific illustrators. I loved working at the Delaware Art Museum. The Delaware Art Museum, just on the outskirts of Wilmington, Delaware, is one of the few museums that has a massive collection of illustration art. It was founded to preserve and maintain Howard Pyle's artwork, who is the man who gave us our modern ideas of what pirates looked and dressed like were from his book of pirates and his illustrations. But they also have the largest pre-Raphaelite art collection outside of England is at the Delaware Art Museum. But they have just this fantastic illustration art collection. They also have a library. And in the library, they have collections of books that were done with illustrations by different people. And Rachel at one point had given me a list of people that they were looking for. So I will see if that artist is on the list and if this is one of the books they need. So this, we're going to tuck that one over there so I can get into that box. Because I'm pretty sure there's a John Sloan book that has some his artwork in there. And so a shelf unit. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know my mother had to fight for me at as a librarian. I need to back up the chat, but I'm afraid to touch the phone to do it. My laptop's back there. Can I see? Oh yeah. One thing that drives me nuts is like kids don't know their grandparents and they don't know their great aunts and uncles anymore. They protected the King of England and Horsemen. It's a mini series. Oh, okay, that's the Labyrinth one. Awesome. Okay. Ugh, ow. Back stiff. But yeah, I mean, I loved reading, and one of the things I had is, I'm sure I'm gonna butcher their name, but they did a book for kids of Norse mythology, Greek mythology. It's a French couple, and it's Duilleries, D apostrophe Uilleres. I'm sure I'm not remembering that right. But I was reading that and I couldn't pronounce any of the names. I didn't care. I was reading that and I was 6. And one day as a 7-year-old, there was a new librarian at the Chester Library. And I went in, Mom was waiting in the car. She let me go in by myself. I grabbed the book. I wanted to read it again because I absolutely loved it. And I put it up and the woman wouldn't let me have it. Oh dear, that's too old for you. So I go out and the woman wouldn't let me have any of the books I wanted because I was small for my size and I looked like a little porcelain doll, a skinny little thing. I think she thought I was even younger because she kept saying, I can't believe your mama let you come in here by yourself. And I'm like, who is this woman? I had my own library card. Okay. I'd been in there so much that as a 6-year-old, they gave me my own card because I'd already been in there so much as a 5-year-old with my mom. And then as a 6-year-old that they gave me a card with my name instead of my parents' name. So she not only wouldn't let me have the books, she took my card from me. And I was not happy. And I went to my mom and cried because I was not happy. And I was 7. And Mom marched me right back in there and gave that woman grief and then told her, look up her record of what she reads. She has read that book at least 6 times, and you sure as hell are going to give it to her. We never had another problem with that librarian again. She actually got to Mrs. Bridges, and she actually got really nice because she actually started recommending books. She recognized the fact that as she got to know me, that I was reading way above my grade level and actually started recommending other books that were still above my grade level, but weren't going to be stuff that was going to be not totally like beyond what I should be reading, even though I'm reading above my grade level. Like you're not going to give a 7-year-old the Kite Runner, okay? But a kid might see Kite and they go, oh, this could be fun, and not know. So she made sure that it was basically books that wasn't like that. Yes, yellow cover, Zeus with the chariot and the horse, and then there is another one that's Norse. They did there's no, because I have them both now. Took me years to find them, but I have them. There's one is Norse mythology, and then there's another one that is the Greek mythology. The Golden Book of Fairy Tale. I don't know this one. Oh, ooh. You know what I'm still looking for? Now it's been so long that I don't know how many I have. Andrew Lang used to do all these fairy tale books, but each book is a different color. And I don't think I know I don't have them all. But I don't know anymore which ones I don't have. Because I love reading the old fairy tales. You want a fun read? Find The Annotated Mother Goose is a great read for a grown-up. To learn all the background of what a lot of those nursery rhymes mean. And to find the old Grimm's fairy tales before they tidied them up. They are so much more fun. Oh, the Norse book is what you had. You had the Norse one, and yeah. It took me forever to get my hands on those. So what do we got next? George Eliot's works. Okay, I only recognize one of these. Oh, look at the end papers. Look at the marbleized end papers. That's not the right term. What am I thinking? I'm getting tired. It's been a long day. There's a word for the page sides, and I can't remember it. I used to know it. But yeah, isn't that cool? They marbleized that. Top and bottom. Look how nice the bottom looks. It hasn't faded on the bottom so much. So this has Silas Marner. See, like this is what happens. They start to crack because the threads get so brittle. The problem is like these old books, the threads dry rot. They're often silk threads and they dry rot, and the pages get, see all that? The pages get very brittle. So this has stuff I've never heard of. This has Silas Marner, which I've heard of, but it has The Lifted Veil, Brother Jacob, and Scenes of Clerical Life. I've never heard of most of those, just Silas Marner. And I like George Eliot's stuff. I think I will hang on to that and carefully read it. Protest and Progress in the 16th Century. Think it's safe to say that one could go. Religious movements, Martin Luther. Changes in life and thought before the Reformation. From the Thesis to the Diet of Worms. That sounds bizarre. Luther's position defined and legalized. So it's early. Copyright 1917. Philadelphia General Council Publication House. That's going to take some looking up. But that one's going to go. Add that to the file down there. Oh. This is the kind of book you decorate with. Look at that cover. Look at that cover. Isn't she stunning? Oh, I love these. Family Pride by Mary J. Holmes. Well, there's an inscription from 1909, which would be about right. These are very Edwardian era covers. I don't, other than that, I don't have a copyright date other than that inscription inside. But yeah, this is very much Downton Abbey time period kind of covers. Absolutely love that. That is definitely sticking around. See, these are the kind of books that I love, and I pack them away. I don't have too many of them. I think I've got about 5 that we should find over time. But these kind of books I used to like face out to enjoy the gorgeous cover. But as I acquired more books, there was not enough room. So yeah. Shakespeare of London. Yeah, you're leaving. A unique account of Shakespeare's life and times. Yeah, you're still leaving. And this was the It was not my back. We're good. We're good. It was not my back. We know there's something wrong with my knee. I was supposed to have an MRI done of it. And then I had a relapse with my spine. So it just twinged and it just kind of like buckles when it does that. So uh-oh. So it's happened. Oh. Oh yeah, I hate that. I spent 17 years running the book booth at the Arden Fair, which is a huge folk fair. The end of the summer, Labor Day weekend down in Arden, Delaware, which is a fantastic original arts and crafts colony from turn of the century. And I would bring everything left over. If it was falling apart, it went to the trash. But then I would bring everything that didn't sell back here, and it would be divvied out to all the different libraries around here for their library book sales. So, yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking when they throw good books away. Oh, I just can't imagine closing a library. It's so sad. I hate the fact that one of the libraries I loved going to, they got a new librarian. She has gutted that library. She has purged so much stuff. The history section's a wipe. There was stuff in there that I was working my way through about the Boer War, which was one of Queen Victoria's little wars, but it's the one that Baden-Powell, who started the Boy Scouts, it's the one Lord Baden-Powell was involved in. And she had books that were firsthand accounts, and there were books there that were firsthand accounts from him, from what the siege that he was part of. And I just hadn't gotten to them yet. I've been working my way through that section. Because if you really want to know history, you find firsthand accounts. That's always the best way, because you'll learn a lot more of what was really going on. Most generalized history books are pretty watered down and whitewashed. History is always written by the victors. So it's always good to find stuff written by actual people that were there from both sides. But she just gutted it. She just gutted it. And she did that through sections through the entire library. I mean, there's no library do you ever want to go in and find empty shelves. Like, nowhere in that library. All the bottom shelves, sometimes the bottom two shelves, are completely empty. And it just broke my heart. So, yeah. So, I hated that, because anything old basically is gone. I like Gaskell is the author's last name, and they had a whole series of her stuff, and her stuff is not that easy to find. You usually find Cranford, but not too many others. And I had just discovered her and was working my way through it, and they're all gone. She kept the 3 that I had already read because somebody had taken them out within the last 3 years. So she kept those, but got rid of all the others. Now I can't read all the others because I can't find them. She goes, well, you should have wrote down the titles of the books you wanted to read. And I just looked at her and went, that'd probably be about a quarter of your library. Yeah. So I'm trying. There's another library in another town not too far from me that has books still on the shelves from the 1800s. I need to start going back there again. I know. It's just horrible that they're stripping them. It's just awful. So this is the wide, wide world, but it says by Weatherall. This is intriguing. To Edna Campbell from her friends, Mrs. Garrett, Christmas 1894, a novel by Elizabeth Weatherall. Now, it's not spelled the same way. I live in a Weatherall house, but it's not with this spelling. I'm looking at the contents. It's intriguing sometimes to see what they name the chapters. A Peep into the Wide World, The Little Queen in the Armchair, Mud and What Came of It, Hope Deferred, Work Not Deferred, Mother Earth rather than Aunt Fortune. How can you not want to read something when those are the titles for your chapters? But that's another oldie. Avon edition. Now, Avon edition, you see it on the spine. I know I've seen Avon editions. They were not expensive editions, and a lot of times you find them they're usually falling apart. This one's pretty good shape because the cover's still attached. But yeah, a lot of times I find them and they're just completely roached, and people are tossing them because. So. Yeah, my problem is I did try reading on a screen and it just bothers my eyes so much that I get a headache. And that's why I don't like the ring light. And a ring light is, and bless the two people that sent me ring lights, but they bother the hell out of my eyes. My eyes, I had at a high school graduation party, some idiot threw vodka in my face. And it burned a layer off my eyes. So my eyes are light sensitive. And so the ring lights bother my eyes. And trying to read ebooks, it bothered my eyes so much that I just stuck with all the books I have. Okay, we have an empty box, which has a split. So what's going to happen, as soon as I figure out where I can put it here, oh, you know what? I'll put it on top of the box of fabric. Yeah. Because we know that's leaving. And we'll put the books that are leaving. And some of them I'll have to look them up on, like that one Monty Python one. Now I got to look that one up to see online. Because to see what that one would be worth. But I also want to keep the cats away from these books. Now I have a pile and no box. Oh, wait, no box out here. There's a box, an empty box in the kitchen. So I can put them in that when I sign off. And oh, you tried Kindle? Yeah, I can't do this. I can't do this. This was in a different box. You Inc., The Art of Selling Yourself. That sounds intriguing. So it's apparently about a business book. From when? There are so many business books that people make, and so many of them seem kind of blowhard. March 2007, first edition. So I think that's another one's going to go. Drop that in there. Now, I've been on for 2 hours. And I think, considering my knee went, and we have all this running to do to get ready for Mike's leaving with the scouts that I better call it a night now. I will see about, I will see. I may possibly continue this live on Sunday afternoon or evening. It wouldn't be at 11 though, but it would be earlier in the day. And we'll see about going through some more. But I should not push my luck with my knee having buckled because I still have to get up the 14 steps to the second floor to go to bed. And I'll pack those away, get a box started of what's staying. But I think we did pretty well. I mean, I can understand now why when Jan did work with me, some of them were like 4 hours long, 5 hours long. I get that because it does take time to show you guys everything and to go through it. But I think we got a good start, even though we've only gotten through 3 boxes, because I've got a bag full of cotton fabric here. There's a whole box of other types of fabric behind me. So we've already got a box started for the fabric sale and a bag started of quilter's cotton kind of fabric. We've got a small box that's full of the cookbooks, a little bit of cookbooks that are going to be in next week's live sale. You guys have seen a ton of books that I said were going, and if you have any interest in any of them, quick put it in the chat or shoot me an email, and because they're all going to go as well. Those are the only ones that are staying. And so I don't think that's too bad. I mean, when I look at what's leaving, and so I've got this tiny little fabric, this high, a little pile of fabric that's staying. Those are the books that are staying. So I've kept a quarter of everything we went through. A quarter of it. 3/4 of it are leaving. That's not bad. Not bad. Time consuming, but not bad. And it's more fun to have you guys around. And I hope this also inspires you. That it can be boring going through this stuff. I get it. But sometimes for me, it became a thing of the realistic having to really realize is like, okay, you know what? You are 57 now. Are you really going to get to all these projects? Are you really going to get to all these books? No, I'm not. So I need to be more selective of what do I really still want to hang on to and read. So the movies are usually stripped of the good information. Yeah. Sometimes they are. Mike got, and I only have it for a month. Mike got HBO Max streaming for 1 month because it was primarily for my birthday. It was one of the other gifts he gave me. And so this was so we could see the new Game of not the Game of Thrones, I lose track of what's on what, because we watched all of the Lord of the Rings ones, the prequel thing, the Power of the Rings. And then we got it to watch the prequel Game of Thrones, which I'm forgetting the name of it. So we got that. But with having HBO Max, that means I also have Doctor Who, which I haven't seen in ages. I haven't seen Doctor Who since I saw the first half of Jodie Whittaker's first season, and then he canceled the HBO. So I have 1 month to watch, and I started with Eccleston. So I started right from the beginning to watch all those seasons of Doctor Who, and they have the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings movies. So I've started with the Fellowship of the Ring, and I've only been catching like half an hour at a time when I'm up there sorting laundry or something, or need to rest my back. So I'm only catching it like, 30 minutes at a time, but I'm loving it. It should be time I should have been reading, but yeah, dragon something. The dragons are the best part. Though Matt Smith bulked up a lot for that. Man, I mean, I know he's tall anyway, but he was never, as the Doctor in Doctor Who, he was never that muscular. He seriously bulked up for this. So, yeah, I know. I got closer to the light, so I'm paling out again. Oh, Now, I haven't read the book for Howl's Moving Castle. I love Spirited Away. Spirited Away and Totoro. I really like them. Those are my two favorites. Ponyo is funny. I mean, like we finally, it's like the Ariel thing. You finally wait for a redhead. Why do they always have to be a fish? So why? Why do they always have to be a fish? Well, oh, wait. We did have Merida in Brave. She wasn't a fish, thank goodness. So, but yeah, definitely recommend the Book of Howl's Moving Castle. Cool. Yeah, sometimes things aren't the same. Like, at least with them that are a standalone movie. One problem is when you have some of the manga, however it's pronounced. It's like Black Butler is one that I love. Black Butler, partly because the guy who does the voice for Sebastian, I've never wanted to date, let's put it that way, date a voice before. Honestly, man, that man could read the phone book in the voice he gave to Sebastian, and I think we'd all listen to it. But the animated series, the anime, got so far past the books. But then there's stuff in the books that's like not in the anime, and you're confused. There's like whole plot twists that really would have been helpful to know in the movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And what do we got? We know this is books. We know this is books. We know this is fabric. This is scrap fabric. You know what this is from? This is from when she did clowns. I'm not kidding. She did a couple professional clowns. Now this one would have been for the stilt walker, because there's a thing among professional clowns, you don't wear green. It's a superstition thing. They don't wear green. But I'm pretty sure this was for the stilt walker, because you always had to line the pants, because it would wear where the stilts, where their feet were on the stilts. The metal apparatus that goes around your foot would wear the fabric out, and you always had to line it with something. But yeah, these were for him. I'm pretty sure this was a pair of pants or a jacket. So the next box, that's going to be fun. Oh, she kept every little scrap. Oh, that will be fun when we do that one. So watch for the thing, and I'll put something up for it. We'll do it Sunday, because I know what's going to happen. Mike's going to come back from this backpacking trip. He's going to want a hot shower, and then he's going to fall asleep, because that's just what happens, you know. So I know I'll have free time. Should have free time Sunday afternoon, and we can go through. You trimmed a baby quilt with that fabric, and see, that's the thing, is she was a Depression era baby, born in June of 1929, stock market crash in October. Her and her sister ended up being raised in a house where there were 8 other adults. There were 8 adult, not other, but there were 8 adults in the house. She was born in her great-grandparents' house, my great-grandparents. And so you couldn't get away with anything. But anytime she sewed anything, she kept all the little scraps. And then we started doing craft fairs after I graduated from high school. And so she loved it. She would use them to make all kinds of stuff. There was a church around here that did teddy bears. They would have people go to like Michael's and buy these stuffed bears, and you would make the outfits for them. We have a photograph somewhere of 30 bears just from one Christmas season. She made 30 bears, including some that were dressed as boys, because invariably they made them always dressed as girls, and she would make them dressed as boys as well. The funny one is that she actually did some dressed in Hanukkah fabric, and they weren't sure what to do about that. But when it went to the place that did the toy distribution, they were thrilled because nobody thinks about that. But they did have an outreach program with a synagogue for kids that were Jewish, that were that weren't wealthy, that were some of the poorer families, and so they had somewhere for the Hanukkah bears to go. So, oh, that would be so cool. Different colored balloons is the focal point for the baby quilt, and then that is the border. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. If you do applique, at some point we're going to find it. There's a vintage baby quilt. It's actually kind of bigger than a quilt, than what we think of for a modern baby. Quilts are kind of small. And it started, and it looks like the fabric's old cotton feed bags. Or something of that, but it's very old. Mom tried to match the gingham so that it could be finished, but then she never finished it. But all the applique pieces and all the fabric you would need is there. But it's gorgeous looking. It would be fantastic when it's done because it's little Bo Peep and her sheep. Do you have a room with Christmas boxes? Sweetheart, that's the attic. And I ain't going into that attic until we get there to the raccoon. Well, the raccoon is not in the attic part, but he's getting into the part that connects to the attic. And he hasn't come into the attic, which is good. But yeah, my parents' Christmas stuff from all of us kids growing up is all still in the attic. There's a video of me trying to get into the attic. You should go find that. You're going to love it. We looked through a couple of boxes, but most of it's boxes and stuff of mine because I can walk in the door of the attic. That's it. That's it. I can walk in the door. That's as far as I can go. It's just as stuffed as the rest of the house was after I had to give up the last storage unit. So. Oh yeah. Oh, Little Women is one of my favorite stories, and most people don't realize it is a trilogy. And so I have all three. I have Little Women, Little Men, and Joe's Boys, and they all have the same 1800s kind of cover. They're not first editions by any means. The original first editions of Little Women is actually 2 volumes. So yeah, I have a collection of books on and by Louisa May Alcott. I'm still looking for Aunt Jo's Scrap Bags. That's a series of books. There's 7 or 8 of them. I have 3. I just finished reading Shawl Straps, but they all have this overall title of Aunt Jo's Scrap Bag, and then there's a number, and then whatever short, and they're really like short little stories, though they're not big enough to be a full book like Little Women, because Little Women is like that thick, but these scrap bags are like this thick. They're like half an inch thick. So no, I haven't contacted Habitat for Humanity about the roof. I never even thought of them. I know they're in the area. They do stuff downtown Chester all the time. Sawdust Joe's Boys is the 3rd of the Little Women trilogy. Little Women is the 4 girls, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. And they're still kids, basically at that point. Though Meg does get married. I think by the time you get to the end of Little Women, Meg and Jo are both like 20, 21, early 20s. Little Men is Aunt March has died and left Plumfield to Jo and Professor Bear, however it's pronounced. But anyway, her and her husband, and they make it a school for boys, hence Little Men. Now, Amy and Lori, got married in the first book. They have a daughter, So she's also in the book. Meg's kids, Daisy and Demi, the twins, they're in the book. So while the school is primarily for boys of all economic backgrounds, then the girls are still there and part of it and get tutored at the school. Now, Joe's Boys created a fuss when it was printed because Joe's Boys is about how those kids from Little Men are now in their first or second year of university. The university college is now Plumfield. The school has grown so much that it is now a college. And here's what caused a fuss. It accepted girls, co-ed classes. It created quite the fuss when it was published. And most people don't even know about it. But yeah, that's Joe's Boys is the last one because it's still like covering, the main part is that it's covering the boys from Little Men, which is why it's called Joe's Boys. But the fact that it just happens to be a co-ed college flipped people out because there still was a fuss about letting women into universities at that point. So, oh, I will have to look for them. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Because I just, honestly, you guys are keeping me sane right now. I did have a bit of a meltdown and I broke my kitchen sink. So the sink is a older, I mean, that kitchen sink was put in when I was 5. So it's from like, God knows when. But the sink is a double drain board porcelain sink. So it's porcelain on metal. And I had a bit of a meltdown with everything that was going on and in the car, and it just, I lost my crap. And I took a bowl and I, wham, bowl went everywhere. Well, there's a dent now. Apparently, all that energy went into that bowl and put a dent in that sink on the edge. And well, 1970 is when that came into the house. I know that's not the original sink because I remember the original sink. The original sink was a 1930 sink that was about this deep. And Mom was trying to wash the dishes for, 2 adults and 6 kids in this short little thing. So it was brought in then by a friend of our dad's who was a contractor. Now, whether he took that sink, I think he took that sink out of a job and gave it to my mom. But that's when we got this thing. But there's a big black spot now like this where the porcelain just flew right off. Yeah. I just cried. I just cried. I mean, it's not easy living with all this stuff. It's not easy having my spine screw up to the point where I had to give up my job. It's not easy knowing that, when I get backlogged, I don't have any money coming in now except this, but the house is so full that I can't keep it all organized and I keep trying. So just keep plugging away. Tomorrow has to be me getting invoices out. Absolutely has to be. I've got to get this. I have so many people who would love to do collabs with me, and I say no to some of them because if I do a sale a week, I'm already behind. So I need to get that done. And every week I get a little more done and I get a few more done, and then something happens where a couple days go by where I don't manage to get that backlog worked on. So it's one of those things that nobody warned me about when I started YouTube and when I started live sales, is that doing it by yourself, you have to actually have a space that is incredibly organized. And right now, my space where all my packing stuff was on the 3rd floor, and then I got hurt and I couldn't make it up 2 flights of stairs to the 3rd floor. So now it's all scattered here on the 1st floor. And all that scattered this and there, that's all got to get taken care of. It's all got to get to more organized to have the room to do everything. So little by little, we are catching up. I had a little relapse of the spine earlier this year as I learned what I can and can't do. But you know what? Things are good now, and I got to tackle it. And so Saturday is going to be all packing, and then Sunday afternoon we'll come back and watch for the Post-it, and we'll do a couple more. We'll do a couple more boxes and see what we can do. But I want to process stuff out of here first. Always use some people do use a bucket in the sink, because then you could take the water out, go water the garden with it. My great aunts used to do that, and they'd take the dishwater out, and they never had a problem with powdery mildew in their garden, because any plant that showed any signs of powdery mildew had the dishwashing, the dirty water, which had some soap to it. They would pour it over the leaves of whatever plant had the powdery mildew, and it always seemed to take care of it. So, oh yeah, absolutely. That's a raccoon. What is it fighting with? That's another call I got to make. I got to call animal control. There's a raccoon out there that's massive. I don't want it anywhere near me again. It's got to be two raccoons fighting for territory. Oh yeah, I may technically be in a city. Not this section. Chester Park is blocks away that way. Crozier Arboretum is down the bottom of the hill, and Senator Bell's Field is right over that way. And yeah, there's wildlife around here. But there is a raccoon that is so big that he's the size of a dog, and not some little dog, not some toy poodle either. He's big, and he has no fear. I was out back with Shadow, and this thing tried to come up on the porch towards me to get to the cat food I put down for Shadow. Now, to his credit, Shadow got between it and me and was hissing and clawed at its face. So the thing went back down the steps, but there's no railing from when the tree hit. There's no lattice part to the railing on the edge of the porch. So the thing worked hard to pull itself up and come up that way so it could get to the cat food without having to pass me. And it's huge. I mean, honestly, its body is this size. It's huge. I've never seen one so big. So he needs to, he's the outside. He's the outside one. The one that's getting into the attic is young. It was born this past spring. It's smaller. We have yet to find the hole. I can't figure out where it's getting in. That it's getting into the crawl space that's up there. Now I know what's in the way, so it can't actually get into the attic proper, but there is a gap that is about that wide and only like this high that you can get through into that crawl space, because as a little kid, I used to have to crawl in there for some stuff that used to be stored in there. As I got older, I was like, yeah, that stuff's coming out of there. You're not using that for storage anymore. So I know it can't get into the main room, but it's still in the eaves of the house. So that sucker has to go. So I got to call animal control and see if they'll trap them. Yeah, I haven't seen the groundhog. I saw him that one morning, and that explains why we have nothing in the garden. Now, when I had a garden in the side yard, never had anything eat it. Never had a problem. But now that the neighbor and I are using his plot, because he built a raised bed, something's been eating it all. And the groundhog would used to go behind the houses here. It wouldn't go towards the street. So yeah, that's why I haven't gotten any yellow tomatoes yet this year. because some little bugger's been eating them. So, well, if I learned anything from my mother's family, is that there's humor in everything, and it's better to laugh than to cry, you know, because what's crying? Yeah, having a good cry now and then may make you feel better, but to cry all the time is just going to make you feel worse. And it just, you got to find the humor in it, and it'll help see you through. And some days that's real hard to find. And some days you just get so overwhelmed with stuff. I mean, we knew that car was gonna die. There's whole other issues though of my brother not having a car, because that means every 20 minutes like clockwork he's gonna come pester me while I'm trying to work. It's another reason my lives are so late at night, because then he's asleep. So yeah. So it's yeah. I used to say, it's a wonder I don't drink more. But that's because, whiskey's not, scotch is not cheap. So we've had a nice little chat after going through all this stuff. So we've done another half an hour talking. And I know you guys like a good visit now and then. So, what's wrong with the car? Smoke started coming out of the engine. That's what's wrong with the car. The car is a 2001 Chevy Malibu. The car has well over 200,000 miles on it. Matter of fact, it is past the 250,000 miles on it. My brother Gary has had almost exclusive use of my car for the last 5 years. And I honestly think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've driven that car this year. He is always rough on vehicles, and he has beaten the hell out of it. In 2 years, he managed to add 100,000 miles to it. When I got that car, I think it had 1,600 miles on it, and it was only 2 years old. And yeah, so it took me a lot of years to get to 100,000 miles. It took him 4 to get another 100,000 on it. So, no, the oil's been changed, but it's gotten to the point where it's burning oil. There's a problem with antifreeze. There's a hose where that started to leak again. There's somewhere, and they haven't figured out where, it's losing power steering fluid, but it started smoking underneath the passenger side of the engine, underneath, and then underneath, it was coming out actually from underneath the floorboards. So they would literally have to not only drop the engine, they would have to take out everything underneath the car too. So at this point, it's not worth it, because what they have to take apart, he said the estimate for the labor alone is $1,500, because they have to basically dismantle the entire thing. They've got to take off some big plate that protects the engine that's underneath, drop all that out to see what was burning up underneath the car, and then they've got so much that they'd have to redo on the engine. It's not just the gasket. They also found a crack somewhere where there shouldn't be one. And so at this point, you're looking at, if the estimate, the conservative estimate, is $1,500 just for the work, not even for the parts. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for a car from 2001 that has over 200,000, well over 200,000 miles on it. It's just not worth it. And if I got to choose between a car and a roof, I'm choosing the roof. I mean, where do I need to go that I can't have Mike take me? I can't do the food shopping for a week's worth of food because I can't lift it unless Mike goes with me. So we are already on that, where he does that with me. Mike's schedule is changing, so he's got promoted at work, so he's doing first and second shifts now instead of third all the time. So we'll just have to plan that out a little better. The only thing that is an issue is that we'd be getting to the post office. But the bus is 2.5 blocks up right at the corner, and it goes straight up 352 to the Brookhaven post office is right there. So if I need to go to the post office, I can do that. Or if I have a bunch of boxes or stuff to go out, I could always just call for a pickup and have our mailman pick it up right here at the house. So I'm not super worried about me not having a car. I'm more worried about the fact of that means my brother's home all the time. Yeah, see, I think that that there had to be an oil leak somewhere, and he's had sole use of that car, and he was supposed to be maintaining it. He hasn't really. I mean, it would break down, and he would expect me to pay for the repair. Why? I'm not driving the car. Not happening. Honestly, he's a poster child for Asperger's before they even knew about Asperger's. So, but yeah, it's not worth it. So we'll just, and because like he was doing scrapping, and he would go to some park downtown and pick up he knew a spot back in the woods where people would always drink beer. So he would pick up the aluminum cans, but he would never shake out the beer. I couldn't drive my own car for Boy Scouts anymore once we had to start sharing a car, because the trunk reeked of beer where it had spilled because he was too lazy to just dump the beer out before you put it in a plastic bag to stick it in the trunk. How do I send kids home when their gear stinks of beer? So I had to stop driving for scout trips because of that. So yeah, I just know that he's on his own to get a vehicle. He can figure it out. You know, he's got a pension, he's got Social Security and a pension. So he's making, even when I was working, he was bringing home more than I did. And yet he's always says he's so poor. So however he's managing his finances, he'll figure it out. Because I'm not getting a car. I'd rather have a roof that doesn't leak. So, and like I said, I did set up in the very beginning. I said I set up memberships. I set up at least a basic one for my channel for members. I found some cool little night owl, some owls for the emojis for the basic level. I can't kick him out. It's part of the will. I get the house as long as Gary has a place to live. I wasn't asked about it. I wasn't told about it. It was a hell of a rude shock. I love my brother, but as a person, he frustrates the hell out of me. So yeah. So I can't. Great. Yeah, great. Yeah. I was very frustrated for a long time. I mean, one of the reasons that depression hit so bad, not just because I'd lost my best friend, one of my best friends when I lost my mom, but the fact that I didn't know I was getting the house. I didn't know Gary came with the house in the way that it is mandated. I was never asked. It took a long time to work through the hostility, the frustration that created. You know, it took some work. But he really can't live alone. He can't. He doesn't have the judgment skills to live alone. If I'd been asked and known about it ahead of time, probably would have been so much better. Would have been a lot better, but it is what it is, and nobody else in the family will take him. So here I am. I also think I got the house also because I had Michael, because, I was raising my nephew. So that's the other reason I'm pretty sure that, and apparently the oldest two siblings knew about it and had decided it with mom, but the rest of us didn't know. Yeah, I was very blessed in that my mom and I got to the point where we could see each other as adults, and that's a rare gift. Most people never make it past that parent child thing. They don't see the parent as an adult. They don't know what their interests are, what their sense of humor really is, what kind of books do they read, do they like movies, what do they do, what's their hobbies, do they do any of it together. We had some of the same hobbies. We both like to garden, we both like to go do community theater, we both like to sing, so we both like some of the same TV shows, not necessarily the same movies because I like things that explode. Um, I like action movies. But we got to that point, which is an absolute blessing. And I have been doubly blessed because while Mike technically is my nephew and I had him to do with two, I've raised him as my own son. I've always told him that, you have three parents that love you very much, but sometimes adults just can't get out of their own way, which is why your parents couldn't keep custody. But which I think helped keep him very well adjusted because he knew he was wanted and he knew he was loved and that their problems were not his fault. So I'm very lucky in that Mike and I have a relationship that's very similar to what Mom and I had. We are friends. We actually are friends beyond parent and child. We are actually friends. And there is stuff that we both enjoy. So it does get a little surreal and this is how I found out, how I realized that even though he never said anything, he didn't say anything to me for about 5 or 6 years later. But this is when I realized that my son was probably gay. Was we were out somewhere and I realized we both were watching the same guy go by. It was, I think, 5 years later when he finally actually came out and said anything. But yeah, we have a lot of things that we both enjoy. We both enjoy scouts, and so and we both like a lot of the same types of movies. He's the romance reader, though. He likes to read romances. He's a softie. I'm not a big romance reader. He is. So yeah, he's a big teddy bear in some ways. So. Oh, okay, so the raccoon fight had ended a few minutes ago, and I was listening to that because I wanted to make sure it wasn't a raccoon and a cat because the doctor is outside again because it's a warm night. When it's cold, she'll come in, she'll stay, she'll hide. She's still not happy with these kittens. But I can hear the food bowls being rattled around on the porch. So something's out there thinking they're finding cat food, but it's already eaten. So, but yeah, I think it's because I did something with Mike. I was raised very differently from my siblings. And I did something with Mike that Uncle George had done with me. When Mike was 5 or 6, I think 6, I made a deal with him that if you ask me for an honest answer, I have to give it no matter what. But that means you also have to agree to the same deal. If I ask for an honest answer, I get totally honest answer. And that has led to some very hard discussions over the years, but it's created an amazing bond where we know we can talk to each other about just about anything. So there was never that butting heads about you don't understand me and all that, because we could talk. And it was not always easy because sometimes you got asked questions for an honest answer that you might not be ready for. But the good part about kids is that for the most part, they only absorb what they can understand, and then they just let the rest go. But yeah, that I think has been the one thing that really changed the dynamic greatly with raising him, in that we started off with such a great foundation because we had that agreement, and we still do it. We still do it every once in a while. One of us will ask the other, hey, can I ask it for an honest answer? And usually they're not the easiest of questions, and lately they've been more of him towards me because he is worried about me. But yeah, I think that's why we're friends, is because there's no big secrets. We know how each other thinks about things. There's no topic. The other thing I had is that there's no question you can't ask me. There's no topic you can't ask me about. And nowadays we seem so hostile if we're talking to anybody that doesn't completely 100% agree with us. But that's not how you have debate. A good conversation doesn't have to be an argument. A good conversation can be people of differing views, but you have to understand that that means you have to actually listen. Not listen and already start thinking of your reaction. You have to actually practice listening. And that was something else too that I was raised with, that Uncle George and Aunt Harriet were real big on, is learning the skill of listening without reaction, so that you can actually hear the other person out. And I think that's something oh, there goes two raccoons again. I think that is something that's kind of a lost skill. Yep, rare and beautiful relationship. I've been truly blessed to have it twice in my life, with my mom and now with Mike. So yes, the kitties are all inside. Gimli got out back. He has gotten big and strong enough that he's discovered that, as heavy as the metal storm door is on the front door, doesn't fit properly because it's old. He can push and get out, and the back door is an old wooden storm door, so he can push on that with no problem at all, and the little sucker gets out. And he was out in the backyard by himself tonight, and I'm out there in the dark trying not to trip and fall and catch the little bugger, but at least he didn't run away. We are working with him on the idea of you come when you're called. It's going to take a lot more treats and a lot more work. You can train a cat, but they are very independent, so it takes a lot. It's so much easier to train a dog. It takes a lot to train a cat. So, but he is responding well to being leash trained. He likes being out on the leash, but sometimes he wants to be, like at night, he's so fascinated by being out, and he just likes to go. He gets the zoomies sometimes out there, and because of the raccoon being around, I'm afraid that he's going to be out there and find that sucker in the dark. So, all right. Hook and eyes. I had a hook and eye. Well, the problem is that it's when I'm going out there. If I don't get the door shut, like the kitchen door, you can pull tight, but the front door, you can't pull that tight. It doesn't stay. So we actually have to lock the door with the deadbolt to get that door to stay shut. It's just because it's old and not quite framed out right. So the front door is a bigger problem. But yeah, I went out back to, I had some stuff that, I had some apples in the fridge, and a couple of them had started to go soft. So I chucked them out and was chucking them out in the backyard. Because I figured either the groundhog or the fox might get them in the morning, and I didn't care if the raccoon got it. I want the raccoon to hang around so that animal control can trap him and take him to a better wooded area. So that's on my to-do list. So I'll have to do that. If not tomorrow, get it done on Monday. So, oh, a tuxedo cat. Yeah. Sawdust, keeping track of animals. Now, there's always been animals here. But I do remember my mother telling the story of at one point she realized that there were 6 kids in this house and 14 animals. And fish tanks she only counted as 1. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm keeping track of 5 kittens and then my own cat. And then there's 2 outside. And now there's 2 kittens outside, which there shouldn't be. But Forgotten Cats, the trapper, never got back to me since July 4th. And I'm pretty sure those 2 kittens are Rory's, who's a tuxedo cat that's outside, and Shadow. Shadow is just, he now, if I sit down outside, he is up on my lap. He wants pets. He wants hugs. He wants to come inside the house. I can't have that. So I really, really need to call them again or another rescue and see if they can come get him into a foster care program, and because he's ready to be somebody's baby. I've worked with him and he just showed up, so I don't know where he came from. I kind of suspect that he had already been a house cat that got lost or something. But Rory is a sibling of the doctor. Rory's been out there for 10 years now. And if she just had 2 kittens, she's had kittens. Morgan, who was the mother of the kittens I have now, that was her daughter from, last fall. And kittens now, this time of year when it's getting cold at night, one's a calico and one's a gray one that looks just like Shadow and looks like Aragorn and Arwen. So I'm going to see if they can. Well, the doctor was meant to be an indoor cat, but Gary, my wonderful brother, I would hear him coaxing her out the front door because he had it in his head, well, if she was born outside, she should be outside. So if she comes in and out. And I made it very clear that if I catch him doing that with these cats, I will put him out. I have already had Red, who was a gorgeous red tabby and wicked smart too. That one got killed by a car, and Rocky got killed by a car, all because of Gary and this nonsense of, well, if they were born outside, they should be outside. And he would deliberately hold the door open for them. And they both were on a busy street, and they both got killed by cars. And now Morgan got hit by a car too and died. I don't want them out. Which is why we're making, since Gimli is determined to be out, he is being harness trained to only go out with the harness on a leash. Now we're working on it. He's terrified of cars, so if he's in the front yard and he gets out, the car goes by, he immediately flattens down into the grass. He tries to flatten down as much as he can on the lawn and just freezes. So, but how long is that going to last? So, yeah. So Mike wants to be able to have him leash trained, so Mike can take him places. Like, okay, but so yeah. I don't like that the doctor goes outside. She's going outside a lot because of the kittens. She's not happy. We're only keeping 2. So I'm still working on that. We got to get them out of here because they're so expensive to feed. Between cat food and cat litter, it's just broken my bank. And bless you for those who have helped, because in the description you'll see there is an Amazon wish list. And I have periodically gotten people who have been a blessing and either sent a toy, because when they're young, those little murder mitten claws shredded most of their toys. They're down now to having about 6 little foily kind of balls that they like. They've killed all but 2 of the fake mice because they've shredded all the others, and some people have sent me food for them, which has been a blessing. But that's, if anybody wants to help out with them, there is an Amazon wish list, and you don't have to by any means. I am grateful. There's also the link for Buy Me a Coffee for the eBay store, the Etsy store, which need desperately to be refilled, but there is some stuff on there. And And then in the very beginning, I had said I did start a basic membership, but I don't know where the link for that is, because when I look on my thing, I'm not seeing anywhere for you to sign up for that. So I have to do some more research to figure out how to do that, because everything from the buy me a coffee to the super chats, the stickers, because that's what underneath the chat, there's that little logo that looks like a dollar bill. That's for super chat and stickers. And for the membership, all that is going to be to continue feeding the cats as it has been, but also any extra goes for the roof. It's all got to go as much as possible for the roof. That's why I started looking into memberships. Everything from the memberships is absolutely going for getting a new roof, because nobody is going. Nobody, even when I got the grant for the heater, there still was stuff that had to be paid for. So even if I get a grant somewhere or help with the roof, there's still going to have to be a percentage that's going to have to be paid for out of pocket. So, and without having a job, it's not like I can get a loan or anything. So 2:00 in the morning, I think it's time to go. So we covered everything, and you guys have been brought up to date on everything I could think of. I will see you guys for another work with me at some point on Sunday. If not in the afternoon, then maybe in the evening. Maybe around 9 or 10. I would rather start a little bit earlier than 11. And well, thank you, Sawdust. Thank you. And forgive me for calling you Sawdust and not your proper first name, because my Boy Scouts laugh at me because it takes me like 2 years to learn their names. So you guys have a good night, and if you saw anything you really want to know about to buy, I left my email address up in the corner there, and you can email me, and I will see some of you guys on Sunday when we do this again. And next Thursday, I don't know what that date comes out to, that will be another live sale. And we've already got some, I might throw some fabric into that sale, but I know we've already got that little stack of cookbooks that's going to be in that sale specifically. So have a good night and have a good weekend, everybody. And I really hope wherever you are, the weather is good. We've had 2 glorious days of 70 and 71 degree weather here, which has been just wonderful. So, look, I'm ready to hit the laptop to turn this off. Yeah, now I am getting tired. So thank you for the virtual hug. All right. See you guys on Sunday. Bye.